All right, what's up, y'all, and welcome to a very special episode of the Beyond Ordinary podcast. Today, we're flipping the mic and we're celebrating a whole year of storytelling, laughter, and we're going deeper than just the conversation. This time, the host is going to become the guest. That's right. So for the 1 year anniversary, I'll be your host. My name is Joshua Cole. You all may have seen me in a previous episode of the Beyond Ordinary podcast. But for today's episode, I'm going to be interviewing the man, the visionary, the storyteller, the investor, the business owner himself, Mr. Myles Youngblood. What's up, Myles? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I can't wait to really get into it. I have no idea what you got prepared today, but you know what I'm saying? We're gonna chop it up. So.
All right. Well, look, before we get into some things, I just want to give the audience your bio because a lot of the times you introduce your guests, but I'm not sure if they're well equipped with who you are and what you offer. So,
For sure.
Let's get into it. So, first and foremost, let me introduce Myles, the man of the hour. He's the one we're here to celebrate. Congratulations on 1 year of your podcast, by the way.
Appreciate it.
No problem. He is a proud Howard graduate. He's a leader, a strategist, an amazing storyteller. He's the definition of Black excellence in motion. From winning business competitions to repping the royal court at Howard University to being initiated into the best fraternity of all time, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Alpha Chapter. And he is also the host of his own Beyond Ordinary podcast. He uplifts entrepreneurs, he's focused on finance, he's focused on mentorship, and he always strives for greatness. This is Myles Youngblood, and today we're going to turn the mic to him and see what he has to say.
Thank you for that introduction, Josh. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem. So, all right, before we get started, I just want to know, what have you been on? How has the last 2 or 3 weeks been for you? And as you're approaching your 1 year anniversary, how's your mindset?
I've been good. I've been feeling good, feeling great. I can't complain. It's been a whole year. Like, even when I reached out to, my team, because, I don't edit my own content. Shout out the content team, the production team for holding it down over this past year. And I hit them up and I told them, hey, this is like a couple weeks ago. And I was like, we got to get ready for the 1 year. And they was like, damn, it's been a year already. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, two of them, I hit them, two separate people, and they both said the same thing. So I feel like time's just been flying by, especially like now that I'm getting older. I don't know. I feel like time just be speeding up. Like, I can't believe we halfway through 2025. I remember 2020 when I was on campus, turn of the decade, like it was just yesterday. And so it's just been crazy. It's been surreal, but it's been good though.
I'm glad to hear, and I agree with you because I will be honest, after the pandemic, the days and the weeks just feel like they're flying by. You blink and it's been like 4 or 5 weeks. It's insane.
Absolutely.
So you talked about your mindset, leading up to your 1 year anniversary, but let's rewind a little bit. Did you think you'd be doing this a year ago today? Did you see it having this longevity?
Did I see it having this longevity? Yes, but like in terms of like how this even came to fruition, I'll just tell the story of how I started the pod. So it was, what year was it? It's last year, it was Q1, like January, February. I was going to transition my business from a done for you service to a done with you. And for those of you that don't know, I help influencers with their content, taking their long form content, cutting it to short form, and posting it on all platforms to amplify their brand. I have several clients that have been with me for well over a year. Some clients, like Chris saying, he's still with me. I've been working with him for about 2 years now. And I was going to transition to done with you service, signed up for this coaching program. And through the coaching program, they wanted me to do content and run ads to the content. Now, what I was going to do is I was going to transition away from influencers and transition into real estate agents. And then through that, I didn't really like doing it. I would get up every day and make an Instagram reel about a bunch of shit that I had no idea what I was talking about. And they gave me the idea of like, yo, like even though your clients aren't real estate agents, what if you just do like podcast interviews for them, just for the content, just for the social proof? So the very first episode I did, that's still on my page to this day, is with Josh. I literally did not take it serious. It was just one-off, right? Like I did on Zoom. I didn't have a professional camera. I didn't have a professional mic. The audio quality it just wasn't it. And then after that, I really had to stop and think. I'm like, damn, do I really want to do this real estate like business? Like, and I was like, nah. And I was just like, what do I really want to do then? And I was like, you know what? Doing the podcast was cool. Like, what if I just like make the podcast the main thing as opposed to it being, a side mission? So So after that, I quit the program. I lost literally I spent like almost 10K on that program. Didn't get my money back or anything. It was cool. The dude who actually bought the program from was like one of my first guests. So like it kind of worked out. And from there, it's just been up. I want to say this is probably like the 65th episode or something like that. And just been grinding ever since. I told myself, like, I just got to give it 2 years. After 2 years, I could evaluate if I really still like it just as much as day one. And then after that, like, I could, quit, sort of say. But I'm not going to quit or I'm going to reevaluate for 2 years. But I don't see myself stopping. It's been smooth.
Well, that's really good to hear. And I want to know, what was the hardest part about getting started? You talk about your equipment, you talked about doing interviews on Zoom, but what was the hardest part about it all?
Hardest part for me was finding guests for real. Like finding guests is just like I cannot wait to outsource that. Like even in today, what happened today? Like I was supposed to have an interview at noon. Like actually, no. Let's rewind it all the way back. What you laughing for?
Because how far back are we going?
So for those of you who don't know, I record these in advance, right? Today is Saturday the 17th, right? And originally I was going to record this on Thursday. I had 2 guests lined up, both of which were Howard alum, and I get to the studio. I get there. I think it was supposed to be at 5 o'clock. I follow up with my guests always like 24 hours in advance, and I typically try to follow up with them the day of, right? Send calendar invites, all that. It get to 5 o'clock. I'm in the studio. We got everything set up. I call bro, and he talking about, oh, I'm in Baltimore. Keep in mind, we in D.C., right? And for those of you who don't know, from Baltimore to DC is like 45 minutes. And it's already 5 o'clock, the time we were supposed to shoot. So because of that, and then the other dude that I was supposed to bring on, cough, cough, who wanted a haircut so bad to be on camera, I was like, you know what? I'll move it. That's cool. So I moved it to today, the 17th. So I was like, you know what? Let me do my due diligence. I'm going to follow up like 2 hours before to make sure we good. Hit up the same bro who was from Baltimore, who was in Baltimore that was gonna come, and he over here. I asked him to confirm. He never confirmed. I think he. This was at like 10 in the morning. It gets to like what 12:30, and he finally hits me back. Mind you, we were supposed to do it at noon, so he hits me up 30 minutes after we were supposed to record. Like I'm on my way, and it's like, bro, like and I gave him a time limit. I said, bro, like the engineer needs to know. To be here early. I gave him a time limit of 11 o'clock, and he wasn't here. Then the guy after was late. And it's just a whole lot of hoopla. And that's honestly my least favorite part about podcasting. Everything else is smooth, but finding guests, scheduling, having to reschedule people. I had probably like, and that's just like one example. I had like 4 other people rescheduled last week, and I'm about to go out of town, and so I got to batch record my content, and it's just a lot to deal with. And then you got to add on the 1 year on top of that, and having to be prompt for that. It's just been a lot going on the past couple weeks, but yeah, that's probably my least favorite part.
I feel like a lot of people don't think about the back end of what being a podcaster takes, and like you said, the scheduling and making sure you're reaching out, doing your due diligence. So
absolutely.
I'm a photographer, so I definitely relate to that and having to not only be the creative, but also be the admin. So my heart kind of goes out to you. Also, apologies for being late today. I caught the subs a little bit, but we're going to move forward. So I want to know, how do you decide on who to bring onto your podcast?
Sure, that's a good question. I typically like to highlight people that are entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so it just makes sense for me to have that type of show. And then honestly, like I really just be trying to dabble into like whatever interests me. Like if somebody got an interesting story, whether they're doing dope work, like for you, for example, you're a photographer, you take, decent pictures. And so I was just like, that's cool. Like, I could
You're sick.
This is my line brother for those that don't know. So you know what I'm saying? Like he's going to get talking to off camera afterwards for his behavior for being late today. But anyways, but yeah, anybody that like really has a dope story that's doing dope work that I want to reach out to, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it. I don't really have like a criteria of like, I know some people like want people that got like big followers and followings, but like I don't really care about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, nah. Like, can you hold a conversation? Like, do you have anything interesting? Do you have anything valuable to say? And that's pretty much it.
All right, so let me ask you this. It's kind of the same question, just in a different way, but What's a common trait that all of your favorite guests have in common? Oh,
favorite guests. And you know what? It's funny because I was really just like, had to like stop and think. I'm like, who was my favorite interview? And to be honest, I really can't like pinpoint who my favorite was, but I would say like everybody that I've interviewed just has like a drive, like the drive to like do something different. Like, you know my man Zaire, like he got his own business too. We talk all the time about like talking to people that like don't have a business or aren't like really striving to do anything else outside of their 9 to 5, I can't really do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to talk about what I do at work. I'm not trying to like talk about just dumb shit. You know what I mean? So like everybody that I bring on is like trying to do something, and everybody doesn't. I'm not saying that they got to be like a millionaire and anything. Like some people are just like community organizers. All right, that's cool. Like what you do? Like how'd you get into that? You feel me? So, yeah.
No, that's very true. And I think we should highlight that because, like you said, in the day and age of social media, so many people are focused on the likes, the followers. How much
Oh yeah.
eyes can this bring to my platform? However, I feel like the value that you provide and the conversations you have are long lasting. Followers can come and go, cloud comes and goes, but the value is going to be there, to the end of time as long as this video is out. So
Yeah, and I want to touch on something you just said in terms of like likes and follows and stuff. Like starting this, like I already like had set my expectations to like not really be focused on the likes and views, to really just focus on how could I make this production better than the last one. You know what I mean? That's why I tried so hard for the 1 year. I got a couple interviews lined up that I'm really gonna like up the production quality for and stuff like that. That's what I really care about. I don't really care the fact that this shit didn't go viral. You know what I mean? Especially like just starting off, like that's really unrealistic. So I really just, and I don't like getting caught up in the whole social media shit either. Like likes, comments, follows. Like bro, like I don't really care about that.
yeah, I feel like it's a great that you have that mindset because it's so easy to get lost in it. And social media is something where it builds on compound. Like the more that you do it, the more that you're consistent with it. That's how you build that audience and that level.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do want to ask you. So, what's something that you wish you knew about podcasting before you got into it?
I'd probably just say just how much like how time consuming like everything is and like really what it takes to be like good and great and like how long you have to do it for. You know what I mean? Like you can't like podcasting is not something that you could just pick up and then expect to be busting in like 6 months. Like that's not gonna happen unless you're already famous. Like there's some people that like they already famous off of some other shit and then they start their own podcast. Like okay, yeah, like but I don't really like count that. Like if you're just like somebody who just wants to start ground up, don't really have that big of a following, yeah, it takes a long time to really start getting some traction. And so really just, I kind of wish I knew that. I mean, I kind of knew that beforehand, but wish I knew like how much time it was going to take. Even though I do have like people that edit my stuff for me, it still takes time for me to find guests, prepare for the episode, even show up here. Like it's what time is it? It's I'm sure it's 2:21 right now, but like I woke up at like 10 in the morning to like get here and get ready and make sure I'm up. Like it's very time consuming. You feel me? And so like I didn't realize like how time consuming it was gonna be.
So, if you could put a number on it, say you have 2 or 3 episodes next week. What do you personally do to prepare for an episode and get yourself in that mindset? Behind the scenes before you're actually on camera.
What do I do to prepare? All right, so this is what I do. First thing I do is I think about what the title of the video is going to be, right? Mm-hmm. And then after I think about what the title of the video is going to be, like I use like ChatGPT AI as well as like vidIQ, which is a tool for like YouTubers. It's like $100 a year or something like that to help like optimize the titles. So I do that. And then the next thing that I do is I make sure that my first question is tailored around that the title, because you don't want to like, even if you do eventually get to it, you don't want people to click on a video expecting one thing and then you don't deliver on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do that. And then probably next thing I do after that is I'll probably just rapid fire like just different ideas that I have like for questions just off the top of my head. And then I'll might get, depending on the guest, like in like my interest level, I might off rip be like done not researching, but planning after that. But then following that, I'll use ChatGPT to also help me with questions. And I've used the same chat for like over a year. So it already knows the type of questions I like. Some people might think that this is cheating, but like, I don't care. But like, I don't. Like I ask, like, it knows what type of questions I want. If they ask a really good question, like I'll give it positive reinforcement. Like, oh, I like this question. I like this question. I like this question. And then it will like kind of go back and forth and then come up with some questions. And I've been doing this long enough to know that like an hour episode is anywhere between like 15 to like 20 questions, depending on how long it takes a person to answer. So it honestly doesn't take me that long to prepare. Like if I really wanted to, I could probably prepare like 2 hours before the interview. I mean, I don't. I typically do like, a day or two before. And then after that, what I'll do is once I have all my questions, I'll put it like in the order of which I want to ask the question. Now, sometimes like someone will go off on a tangent and they'll start touching on a question that I was going to ask later. So then I'll just pivot. So like it's a give and take, but that's pretty much how I prepare for my episodes.
Okay, wow. I didn't expect you to be using a lot of technology and
Oh, yeah,
AI
sure.
and stuff like that in your podcasting business.
Oh yeah, got to.
And that kind of brings me to another question I wanted to ask later, but we could touch on it now. So,
See, told you.
how does your education from Howard University and like your finance and just your business background translate to podcasting and how you approach it?
I'll say this: the actual education like that they taught me at Howard University, none of it. I don't use any of it. But the actual soft skills, like in terms of like having to network with people, like I mean, me personally, I was already. My friend Tierra, she told me this one time I was cracking up, but she was like, Myles, you could like talk to a doorknob if you wanted to. And and it's just like for me, it's like it's not that hard for me to just like talk to people and stuff like that. And so just being able to just, be in a room with people that are, more successful than me or millionaires and stuff like that, which I've had on my podcast, like I just being able to just, know when to code switch, know what to say, like, different things like that, but still being my authentic self. Like that's something that I've been able to really do. So.
Okay, so let me ask you. So you mentioned something about you being able to talk to a doorknob and have conversations with a wide variety of people and things like that.
Yeah.
So what would you do in a situation where you have a guest who isn't as talkative? Like, what was a challenging? I don't know if you've experienced it yet, but have you had a challenging interview? And like, how did you push through? How do you make sure you're still getting that dialogue?
To be honest, early on, I kind of had that, like, I'm trying to think. Yeah, kind of early on, there was a couple people that was kind of like that. And to be honest, I mean, some of them were, like, virtual. So honestly, I cut the interview short, low-key. Not like, I mean, it kind of was purposeful, but, like, it was just, I don't know. I just felt like they just wasn't. It wasn't even the fact that their answers were short. It's just I didn't feel like it was delivering the value that like it needed to be. I mean, I still posted the episode and whatnot. But I mean, now I typically just ask follow-up questions. Like I try and like dig deeper, like ask people like why and follow-up questions. Because some people just gonna give you the surface level answers, which is not what I'm here for. So sometimes you have to really ask them open-ended questions and get into the mindset of like how they came up with that answer. And so that typically goes a long way.
Okay, for sure. So let's pivot a little bit because, of course, we're here on your podcast. It's called Beyond Ordinary, but let's get into the name and why you decided to call it that. So what does Beyond Ordinary mean to you? And beyond, of course, just Beyond Ordinary. We want to hear why you chose this name, what helped you choose it, and how you did it. How you came up with that?
That's funny because I honestly, I'm gonna have to go back and find it. But surprise, surprise, I use ChatGPT to help me
That's
with
sick.
the name. I forgot, because no. Because first I started off, it was gonna be like I was just gonna name it after myself, right? It was gonna be like, what was the options? I put on you were part of it, like all my close friends on my Instagram, like telling people like I'm gonna start a podcast. What should I name it? It was gonna be like the YB Show. Youngblood TV. I don't know. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. And then a lot of people told me, the reason why it was going to be YB, for those that don't know, my last name is Youngblood. And so some people were saying that like I shouldn't do YB because people are going to associate that with Youngboy. And so I was like, you know what? That's real. So let me not do that. And then I genuinely don't remember how I came up with Beyond Ordinary. I just remember just typing into ChatGPT like damn near 10 times, being like, nah, I like this. Nah, do this. Okay, use Beyond Ordinary. And it's like, and I think it had like maybe like five names. I'm like, nah, I only want it to be like two words. And then I think I started off with Ordinary, and then I was just playing off of that. And then I kept prompting it to like put like an adjective or something before that, and then Beyond Ordinary was one of them. And I was just like, oh shit, like that's hard. So I went with that.
What was the thought process behind making sure it was 2 words?
I just wanted it to be short and sweet. I didn't want it to be like something long. And I also didn't want to name it after myself because like in the case that I do want to bring on another host or I want to like sell the podcast or something, it's not like tied to me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't really plan on doing that, but like I just want to have that option and being able to do that.
Okay, you mentioned something I was going to ask a little later, but let's do it now. In the
Sure.
spirit of manifesting, you talked about selling the podcast. So
right.
Let's say everything is super lucrative. It goes extremely well. 5 years from now, Look, 5 years from now, you're getting 1 million views off a rip with anything you drop.
Right.
So you have buyers looking in to buy the podcast. Who would you sell to? YouTube? I'm going to give you some options.
Okay.
Spotify, Apple Music or YouTube?
If I was gonna sell it, which I mean I doubt I will, but if I was to choose from those three, it'd probably be YouTube. And the reason being is because I mean I've been to a lot of podcast conferences. I watch a lot of podcasts myself, but YouTube is really up and coming and taking over the podcast space. Like almost all the podcasts conferences I went to said like, yo, like you gotta like be on YouTube. You gotta have like video element, all type of shit. I mean, I already started doing that, so like it wasn't a problem for me. So I just see the direction that the market is going, and so like 5 years from now, I'm already knowing that YouTube is really going to like turn up in terms of the podcast space. So obviously, I would go with the up and coming platform as opposed to Spotify and Apple Music or podcast.
I mean, I kind of anticipated you saying that. You're very well versed in the market. You have a whole bunch of clients. And like you said, video form is taking over from TikTok, YouTube Reels, YouTube Shorts, all that. So, understood. But I want to ask you something too. We talked about 5 years in the future. Let's rewind. Somebody is looking to start their own brand. Right. Might be a podcast, might not. But what advice would you give them? Because you do help other people curate their brand and their audience, and you've started your own. So, what advice would you give someone?
I mean, do you have a particular avatar of person, or is it just open-ended?
Open-ended. We'll do open-ended first, and then let's talk about a podcaster after.
True. I mean, if it's open-ended, then I would just tell them to really understand, like, what is your why? Like, what are you trying to get out of your brand, right? Because the way you say, like, you have a business, right? If you have a business and you want to make content that's centered around your services, that type of brand is going to look different than what I do, which is, bring on guests and, talk about, different aspects of entrepreneurship. Now, what I could do if I wanted to go the route of, tying into my services, I could strictly bring on, content creators and people that, know things about YouTube Shorts and then bring them on and pick their brain and do it that way. I mean, I don't want to do that. I mean, I could, but I mean, that's not something I'm really interested in doing. So that's another route. So, but just understanding your why. So I knew that, okay, I want to be in the room with, people like Alex Hormozy, David Goggins, Chris Williamson, Stephen Bartlett, Andrew Tate, like are those and then did I miss somebody? Those are like my what you called, my Mount Rushmore podcast guests that like I want to have on the show eventually. And so knowing that that's where I want to go helped me understand like where I want to start. So I want to start with people who are entrepreneurs and stuff like that. I'm not, bringing on just like, just random people to talk about just random stuff. You feel me? So that's what I would say. Oh, but I think your second part question was like a podcaster. First thing I would say, definitely got to start on YouTube. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, if you absolutely positively have to start on like with just audio, I guess you can. But at the end of the day, like it's really not that hard to start with a video. If you have to start on Zoom with your MacBook on Zoom, just do that. You know what I mean? And then eventually ramp up. But like definitely start with a video format. I would say definitely batch record your content. If you can't commit to a weekly show, then I wouldn't even start, to be honest. Doing bi-weekly or monthly isn't really going to get you anywhere. That's probably it.
Would you recommend them to go to podcast conferences? And if so, like, do you have a specific one?
For sure. Oh yeah, definitely go to conferences. A lot of tips that I've gotten for growing the show and outreach have been from podcast conferences. Like, for example, my boy Corey, he got his own podcast, and he calls it EBK. I don't even know what EBK stands for, but it's basically like a one-pager, like to pitch people. It was I sent it to you when we was going to pitch O'Neal. You know what I mean? And I would have never thought to like make a nice document. And I hired somebody to make it because like there was no way I was going to be able to make it that nice myself. So it's a nice document. And what that does, and this is another thing that like, at least for me personally, like if you do got the budget to do it, but to like really take pride in like your production quality, because what that does is when you reach out to people and they see that you don't really have that big of a following, but they see like, oh shit, like he shoots in 4K, he has nice thumbnails, he has nice short form, he has nice audio quality. They're gonna be like, all right, cool, like I want to be on that. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people like say they about shit, but they're not. And I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say that to like brag or say that's specific to me in podcasting, but just in general. Like a lot of people just like, get complacent and just do whatever. And if you show people that, okay, yeah, I'm up and coming, but like I'm willing to put in the work, and you can see it from your page off it, people are gonna be attracted to that. You know what I mean? So that's what I would also say, to really like pride yourself on your production quality. And I'm fortunate enough to like be able to afford the production quality that I put out fairly early, but like, and everybody can't, but like just do the like just honestly just little stuff like going from like Zoom to Riverside. The difference between Zoom and Riverside in terms of like video quality, you could shoot in 4K on Riverside. You can only do 720p on Zoom. But the price difference between Zoom and Riverside is $15. You know what I mean? $15 a month to be exact. So it's like, are you willing to put in that extra $15 so that way you could shoot in 4K? I know I would. So that's just different things to think about.
So let me ask you this. What are the best 3 things that you've invested in so far for your podcast that you've seen your return on and you would do it again?
Best 3 things. What's the, I forget what the name of the podcast mic is. I think it's called the SM7B, something like that. So investing in a good mic is number 1. Investing in my my editors and being able to hire them, train them, that's 2. And then probably the third, damn, I had it. What was it? Oh, the third is just like having a nice studio, like this. Shout out Highlight Studios. You know what I mean? Like that. You know what I'm saying? Like find a good studio, and you're not always gonna find like the first studio you shoot at like might not always be the one that you stick with long term. I've been through like I don't know 3 or 4 studios and just trying to like build connections and stuff like that, because I never know when one studio is going to be available and when another studio is not. So you feel me? So those are the top 3 things for me.
Cool. Yeah. So let's pivot a little bit. We've gotten to the background of the podcast. You dug deep a little bit about why you started it, how your background has affected it. So I just want to take like 5 minutes real quick and let's play a game, all right?
A game?
Yeah, a little game.
I did not expect this, y'all. I hope y'all know, like, I don't tell my guests, like, the questions ahead of time and whatnot. Sometimes I don't even tell them the topic. And so, like, going into this, I told J. Cole, like, we're going to do the same thing. I did give him topics, but, like, I don't know what we about to do. So go ahead.
It's going to be called Spill or Skip, right?
Spill or skip?
Yeah, so you're going to spill and tell us the answer to the question, or you can skip. But I have 5 questions here. You can only skip 2 of them. I'm not going to let
skip 2? Okay.
I'm not going to let you dodge too crazy, right?
I bet.
All right, cool.
All right.
I'll start off a little light for you right now. So.
I'm nervous, y'all.
This is easy. You can skip if you want, again, remember.
All right.
So, what's the fakest thing you've seen someone do just to go viral or to get podcast clout?
The fakest thing that I've seen people do? I mean, I've only been in the game for a year, but I know that people... So in the podcast realm, what's his name? Damn, I had all the time. Mark Manson, right? Mark Manson, he's the author of the Subtle Art to Not Give a Fuck book. It's actually pretty good. He has his own podcast too, and he recently actually rebranded his podcast. And the reason why he did it was because he felt as if, it's like once you get to a certain level, and he's famous. You know what I'm saying? He got 1 million subs and all this other shit, so he could pretty much damn near pull whoever he wants. But one thing that he touched on, he made a whole video, like a whole 20-minute video of why he rebranded the podcast, and he said it's because you'll bring somebody on that they might say some shit that like you don't resonate with or isn't true or propaganda or some bullshit. You know what I mean? And it's not always just politics. It could just really be anything, just like whatever topic it is. And so what he said is he didn't like being in a position to where it's like, okay, so you could either A, let it rock and subtly like endorse them, or B, now you have to get into a whole back and forth, and now you're like arguing. And obviously, like there's levels to arguments. Obviously, you're not gonna be shouting at your guests or anything like that. But even just pushing back on somebody's ideologies could put them like uneasy. And so now you're in a situation where you're making somebody, like, I guess for lack of better terms, uncomfortable on your podcast and stuff like that. So that's one. I personally haven't encountered that before, but I know that is something that is prevalent in the podcasting, just bringing on a big guest, letting them say whatever, regardless of, if you really believe, if you agree with them or believe it's true, or if they're blatantly lying, to just kind of let it rock for the sake of views. So
something you mentioned about podcasters shouting at their guests and stuff like that. Of course, it's not a normal or a norm that's in the industry, but
for sure,
the Fresh and Fit podcast comes to my mind, and I feel like they sit around at the table and they're all the clips you see is of them yelling, of course, and of course
Yeah.
they talk about like inflammatory topics and things like that. But
Sure. I know what Fresh and Fit are.
yeah, insane. But that was an easy question. How'd you feel about that? Not too crazy, right? Because we about to get into it.
Yeah, nah, it's not too crazy.
All right, cool. Next question. So, who's a podcaster that gets way too much credit for talking about a whole lot of nothing?
I'm fucking dead. A podcaster who gets credit for talking about a whole lot of nothing. Bro, to be honest, like, it's not too many people that I personally listen to that talk about a whole lot of nothing. Like, the podcast I listen to is Diary of a CEO, Modern Wisdom, what's it called? The Game by Hermosi. Those are probably like the top 3 that I watch. And like they're actually like really good. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, granted, like there are some things I wish, like for Diary of a CEO, not Diary of a CEO, for Modern Wisdom, for example, like Chris likes to get into a lot of woo woo and a lot of like mindset. Like he'll bring, like he had Naval Ravikant, billionaire. It was like his first interview in like 3 years, 4 years, something like that. And he started asking him about like. Keep in mind, this dude, like I think he's an angel like investor in some of like the top companies, all this other stuff. Like he could talk to him about business, all this other stuff, but like he really wants to dive into like mindset and burnout and like again a little bit of woo woo. And me personally, that if I had somebody of like Naval, I'm not saying there's really anything wrong with that, but like to me, it's like if you see a certain type of guest that has a certain expertise, I would tap into that expertise. I wouldn't like. Talk to Naval about burnout. You know what I mean? Like, why? I mean, I guess like as a billionaire, like, yeah, obviously, like, that's like something that you should, I guess, talk about because it's like, that lifestyle different and like they're gonna have a different perspective on it. But I think he just touches on it a little too much. But I wouldn't say like he talks about a whole bunch of like nothing. But I typically like. I mean, if he brings on somebody notable like Alex Hormozy, like when he brings on Alex Hormozy, oh no, I watch the whole thing. It's 3 hours long. What? You know what I mean? So it just depends.
All right. So you didn't say a name. I appreciate the PR answer. I guess we can move on.
PR answer is crazy. I gave my critique. I gave my critique of one of my favorite podcasters. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's cool. So the next question: which guest, or I should say, expecting guest, do you regret giving your platform to? It could be someone that you've reached out to, might not have worked out, or someone that you've actually interviewed.
I don't really think that there's anybody in particular that I brought on that I can think of that afterwards I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have had them on. Now, there are some people that asked to be on the podcast that afterwards I was just like, whether like it was their response or their lack of response. There's certain people that I had like a prior like relationship with. I'm not gonna sit up here and be like they was friends. We was friends on some shit. But I was just like, oh, this would be, cool to have them on the show, and they like didn't hit me back. And I'm over here like, you know what I'm saying? Keep in mind, like this person I'm thinking of in particular, I knew Shorty back in like 2018, like type shit, like before she was Greek and all this other shit. And then like I reached out to her, like I think I DM'd her, I sent her an email, and then she part of some org, and I felt that, and they had some form on their website, filled that out, and I got no response. You know what I mean? So it's like. Stuff like that be kind of like be blowing me, but at the end of the day, it's just like, bro, it is what it is. Like, eventually, folks is gonna spin the block, and I'm gonna charge to come on the podcast eventually. And trust, I'm taking note of like, you know what I mean. I'm not like I don't have like a fucking notebook or no shit, but I'm a remember like, oh shit, I remember how you was acting X, Y, and Z. So don't spin the block when I'm at 1 million subs. Because now the price, today's price or yesterday's price, last year's price is not the price today, and it was free back then. Now it's not. So it's like, you feel me?
So let's follow up on that because I want to know, and of course, we're friends in real life, so you tell me about certain situations.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. I probably told you who it was.
You did. I'm going to whisper to the mic. But look, how do you deal with people who might have been apprehensive of coming on to the podcast, but then they see you post a clip, they see the video quality, and now they're suddenly eager to come on? Like, how do you deal with those type of people?
I feel like that did happen once.
I would say we was out at Park, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you had somebody in your face like, oh, you got to get me on, da-da-da. You're like, didn't I reach out to you? Didn't I, like, or then you reached out to their friend. It was something similar, but.
Yeah, it was something like that. But remind me what the exact question you said was.
I'm asking, how do you deal with people who maybe were apprehensive of coming on at first, but now they see the video quality, they see the production, they see the value that it is and what it actually is, and now they want a piece of the cake, basically.
I mean, it depends on who they are and like kind of how they acted. You know what I mean? If they were just like kind of shy or some camera shy, because there's some people I asked to be on that that like what I'm saying, some of my bros that like literally didn't want to come on off the strength of they had to be on camera. You know what I mean? So like if it's something like that, and then they're like, oh, I don't want to be on camera, and maybe like I don't know, a year goes by, and they're like, okay, cool, like you know what I mean? You know what? I'll be on camera. Fuck it. All right, cool, whatever. But like, you know what I'm saying? It just depends. But honestly, like one thing that I do like. For certain people, like, because there are certain people that'll ask to be on the show that I'm like damn near like 80 to 90% sure that I don't want them on. So what but what I do is, no, this is what I do. All I do is I tell them to send me a proposal to my email. And guess how many people that I told that to actually did that?
I'm going to guess 0.
Yeah, 0.
Damn.
You feel me? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like you weeded yourself out, like, cause it's like I'm more like, and honestly, depending on what their pitch is, I might have changed my mind. You know what I mean? But like to me, it's like if I just ask you to send me a damn email and I give you the email, like I don't even tell you to go search it, I give you my email, and you still don't send in a proposal, like, all right. I mean, like you asked me, like I'm not about to hound you. You know what I mean? But that's my way of like kind of soft dubbing people for, that's typically what I do for people. Like if I know them, which is most people that ask me, that like they know. But, I mean.
Okay. Well, we can pivot on the opposite side of that. We're talking about people who aren't really supportive or they might be apprehensive, but what does support look like to you behind the scenes? Like,
oh man, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't expect to get as much support as I do as I get. Like, I remember I applied to this grant. I told you about it. It was for like business owners in DC and stuff. And I'm gonna send it to High Life too, because they definitely should apply to it. And they could probably get like the big money, like for like if you got a project or something. They talking about 100K, but I was only going for like the little I think it was like 5 or 7K or whatever. But like part of that application, they asked me. I think they required like not proof of work. They asked me for like support. So like I literally went through and I screenshot like everything, all the support I got. It was like, bro, it was a lot. Like from like people DMing me personally, from people leaving comments, and it's a wide array of support, like from people I know, people that I don't know, and stuff like that. And it's crazy, you know what I mean? So like the support is real, and I definitely feel the love. And yeah, it's definitely greatly appreciated for sure. Especially because like I said, this shit is not easy. It is not.
So with the amount of support that you have and the growth and the greatness that you've seen so far, what do you do to help recharge yourself? I can imagine getting those texts from people that you care about and the people that are rooting for you helps, but what else do you do to recharge creatively and to keep you going?
I mean, I take breaks. So what I mean by that is like, for example, I'm about to take a break coming soon, which is why like I recorded I think 8 episodes last month, and the reason why I did that is because I'm about to go to California, go see my family, and then after that I'm going to Vegas for a few days, and then I'm gonna come back. And during that time, I don't want to like be recording no content, and so I'll just batch record my content so that way I can just roll shit out. So I mean, it's still like I still put out the shorts and stuff like that, but like I don't have to like think about who my next guest is, and I could really just strategically think about okay, like what are some topics I want to think about and whatnot. Like I already know like. When I come back from that break, one thing that I want to really tap into is like more so like finance influencers, like some like microfinance influencers to talk about not necessarily just stocks and crypto, but like how to retire early and like really like more financial literacy shit. So that's something that I'm gonna tap in with when I come back.
Okay. I feel like you kind of capping in front of the audience right now, but it's cool.
Capping in front of the audience for what? Like in terms of what? What did I say that was cap?
The way you recharge, you live in El Rey on U Street. Like, I don't know why you did it.
Oh, that's so funny talking about recharging El Rey. I definitely was in El Rey on what day was that? Thursday? Yeah, I was definitely there on Thursday, and I was definitely there the week before that too. So.
And the week before that. But
okay,
it's cool. We can move on.
Yeah, please.
I want to talk about something a little more personal, and let's talk about the relationship side of things. Because I feel like as young men, both of us own our own businesses. We also both work full time, so our time is definitely a value, and it's hard to split it up sometimes. So
It is for sure.
I want to know: would you date someone who doesn't support the podcast or your creative work? And let me know: would you or would you not? And then we could go a little deeper. The look already told me half of it.
What? Hell nah. Let me get this straight. I got this shorty. I'm taking care of her, all this other stuff, buying stuff, and she don't even show up. She don't even like support the podcast. Now, the support comes in different ways. Like,
Yeah, what would it look like for you in a relationship? Like,
I mean, liking, reposting, commenting, like on like social media. Like to me, that's a bare minimum. Do I expect her to watch the actual episode? No. But like that's like you know what I'm saying. To me, that's like the bare minimum. Okay. You know what I mean? Especially if you know like, yo, this is what he like really cares about. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's real. So that's a deal breaker. Like, couldn't do it at all.
Couldn't do it at all. Hell no.
All right. So my follow-up question: do you think the ambition that you have, do you feel like that makes it hard for you to find someone to date or find a woman to take serious?
No, it honestly works the opposite way. Like literally, the last girl I was talking to, she straight up told me like about I called her one day, we was on the phone chatting, and she was like, "Yeah, one thing I do like about you is the fact that like you want more for yourself, like you're building your platform from the ground up, shit like that." So it's like honestly, it makes it easier. To be honest, I was actually kind of okay, we good. I was actually fairly surprised as to like when like I'm out and about and I tell people, or even just women like I got a podcast, like a lot of people be like, "Oh shit, you got a podcast?" Like they be like really intrigued. You know what I mean? Like, and the reason why I'm surprised is because it's like I'm not famous or anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just, but you know what I'm saying? They just think it's cool, and like they like, and it's not. And a lot of the times, like I don't like show them like, oh, no, it's just like, oh, this is my podcast, this is what I talk about, and they'd be like, oh my god, that's actually really cool, and I'm like, oh, thanks. So
I was gonna ask that because I feel like I'm on like the Twitter side of things, and like just the way people talk is so funny and shit.
oh, we know you be on Twitter, trust, I know.
People,
Joshua be messy.
all right. Anyway. People always say that nowadays everybody's just getting a microphone and a camera, and like we need to abolish podcasts.
Oh
so
yeah.
How do you respond to people that say that? And yeah, what's your response to people that have that opinion?
Man, my response to that is your algorithm's fucked up. You know what I mean? So, and what I mean by that is that the reason why you see a bunch of people that talk nonsense on the microphone is because the algorithm is showing you that for a reason. When I am, on Instagram, I get shown Hermosi. I get shown Goggins. I get shown Stephen Bartlett. Like, I get shown, like, people that actually talk about shit. You know what I mean? Because that's what I like. You know what I mean? So if you're, being shown a whole bunch of foolishness, that's not necessarily a reflective on, podcasters. It's more so a reflection of you, because these social media devices are literally tailored to use your searches, what you like, like even this conversation right now, that the phone is listening to us. They know what we like, and so they put it in your face. You know what I mean?
That's a great point. No, it is.
So
a lot of these people be watching Zeus Network, now that's TV, and they wonder why.
Facts.
The algorithm
the thing is, I don't even know what the fuck Zeus Network is. Like, you and like, some of our pros and stuff, y'all be talking about that, but I don't watch TV and stuff, so I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? So
okay, so we lying again. All right, let's move on.
Lying, okay.
The next question
I have the YouTube history to prove it. Shit.
Next question.
What's up?
Would you rather date someone who inspires your work or someone who keeps you grounded outside of it?
I would say grounded outside of it for sure. I don't really need inspiration. I think that like if you need inspiration to like get to do things, like it's not gonna work out, because like inspiration comes and goes. You know what I mean? Discipline is what's gonna keep you going. So I don't need inspiration. But like sometimes I do be popping my shit, and I can get a little big headed. So the last shorty told me, but you know what I mean. So sometimes you stay grounded. So
no, that's real. That's real. And I feel like I wanted to ask that because I feel like everybody's different. Some people, it's like they don't want to get up and go to work, so they need that extra push from somebody they care about. Like, you got this, take over the world type shit.
Yeah, nobody. Shoot, I don't need nobody to help me do this or to inspire me to get up and be like, damn, I don't want to go to this podcast. What? No.
All right, so something else. What's one thing you've learned about love or dating while on your podcasting and entrepreneurship journey?
I'll put it this way. At least for me personally, I'm not necessarily looking, and the reason why is because I have so much life to live. I mean, I'm 27, and
I'm just playing.
right. You right there with me. Trust. You know what I mean? Right. We 2 years apart. But anyways, I'm not really looking, and the reason why is because, like, at least for me, like, podcast and business comes first. You know what I mean? This is my life. Like, I pour my all into this. I poured. Like, a lot of people don't understand that you honestly don't even make that much money on YouTube, even though I got monetized. Like, I could pull it up right now. I think so far, like, and I got monetized like 2 months ago. I made like $18. And you only get paid out once you hit 100. So, like, you know what I mean? Damn. So I say all to say that, like, that takes priority. But to actually answer your question, one thing that I've learned is I need to really take, like, I actually just had this conversation recently. Like, I need to take character into consideration a lot more, even if I'm dealing with somebody, like, not like, she's not gonna be my girl, but, like, we gonna just, you know what I'm saying, do our thing. Because unfortunately, like, I've just ran into some situations where it was like, you know, okay, like, like what you just said. Okay, here's a concept. I don't know where I learned this from, but it's a concept of, like, there's three sides to a story. There's side A, there's side B, and the truth. And the truth is often in the middle. You know what I mean? Right. So anytime, and I say that to say that whenever I interact with somebody and they tell me something or they tell me a story, I always keep that in mind. I've never been the type of nigga to ever just side with one person off a rip. You know what I mean? Because another thing too is that everybody's a victim in their own story, in the story that they tell. Like, nobody, like, I shouldn't say nobody. Most of the time, people are not going to tell the bad shit that they did. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there has been times, not necessarily with women that I was, like, really messing with, or really is more just platonic with, where, like, they've told me something, and in my head I'm like, you know what, that situation that she just said really just don't make no sense. But, you know, it's, you know, but that situation don't got shit to do with me, X, Y, and Z, and then later on something will happen, and I'm just like, oh, and we might. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, cool. Now I know how to move around you, or now I can't, like, fuck with you no more, or something like that. Like, where I just gotta, you know, I call it peep game and move accordingly. You know what I mean? And that's because I kind of ignored that shit at the beginning of, you know, all the I guess, quote unquote, red flags. But it wasn't even necessarily, I wouldn't even consider it a red flag. It's more so like, I could tell based off of, it's another concept I go by, where if someone tells you something and it seems like off, you know what I mean? So, like, for example, this group of people ostracize me, and I'm just like, why? And they tell me an answer that doesn't really sound like a real answer, or like a non-answer. Like,
I don't know.
No, like, I don't know. I didn't do shit to them. Or they tell me the story, and then, like, the story doesn't really line up. They're probably leaving something out that is key to why they're being ostracized. You know what I mean? So, like, just, you know, keeping that shit in mind. Like, you feel me? Like, so that's just me. So I just been. So to wrap it up, I keep, like, character, and, like, you know, I be keeping my head on a swivel. It's like, okay, cool. Like, okay, you was in that, like, okay, even you was in beef with, maybe not beef, but you got into a disargument with this group. Okay, cool. Now I know to kind of, like, you know, keep my head on a swivel, and, you know what I mean? Because, like, it's kind of a red flag that you are in different social circles that, you know, all don't, you know, maybe not really rock with you. You feel me? So that's just an example.
It sounds like, one, you need to, well, you said you want to take people's character into account a little bit more, but also, sure, what the message I got out of that is discernment. Just knowing when somebody might be leaving something out of the story, or when they might be, you know, making themselves the victim in their own story, as you said. And I feel like that's a transferable skill, not only from personal relationships, but into business as well, and entrepreneurship. You have to know whether a deal is going to be lucrative. You have to know when to trust your gut, or when to take a back seat and learn from, you know, somebody else's mistake. So, yeah, for sure, a big thing that has to be strengthened. I appreciate you sharing that. I have another game for you, all right?
Again, another game?
Yes. Wow. This one's a little more simple. So this is just a rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 10 questions. Just say the first thing that comes to mind, the first answer.
Okay.
10. No skips, nothing.
Okay. First thing comes to mind.
First question. What is your dream podcast sponsor?
Sponsor?
Sponsor.
Damn. Sponsors.
Come on, the sky's the limit. You can say anybody, any company, anything.
Shit, Amazon. All right.
Okay, cool. What's your favorite podcast that isn't yours?
Diary of a CEO.
Okay. What is the last episode that you re-listened to?
The last episode that I re-listened to from that podcast in particular.
From that podcast or just the last episode, period?
I think the last episode that I watched was about, well, that I can really remember watching because I watch a lot. It was the Coinbase CEO. He had him on like a couple years ago. So I was watching that. That was a pretty good one. Like hearing about, how he started. I believe he was at Stanford, and he dropped out and then became obviously a billionaire. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? That was a cool episode.
Okay. Next question is, what is your most used phrase when you're hosting your podcast?
Most used phrase?
Yeah.
That I use?
Yeah.
I don't think I have one, to be honest. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe my editors could tell me because they be watch this back. So
have them put it up on the screen.
Okay, I'll put it up on the screen.
All right. So, what's your go-to hype song before recording, or just when you try to get some energy in yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm a Boss by Rick Ross for sure.
That's a banker. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay. Coffee or Red Bull?
Red Bull. If I had to, I like New Tonic, Chris Williamson's drink better because it has no calories. Cough, cough. But yeah.
All right, another one. Who's a guest that you're dying to have on the podcast, but you just haven't asked them yet?
Oh, there's plenty of people.
Let's hear it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I told you my podcast Mount Rushmore is Andrew Tate, Alex Hormozy, Stephen Bartlett, Chris Williamson, David Goggins, and I'll throw Naval Ravikant on there as well in case Tate is in jail by the time I can have him on.
All right. Another question. Well, first of all, are guests allowed to come back on your podcast, say if they have an update or it's been 1 year since their episode?
I mean, shoot, this is your second time on, so.
Okay, cool. So,
but yeah, I've only done one repeat though, outside of bringing you back on.
First of all, I'm honored to be back for the second time, but I do want to ask then. So, since people can come back, who's one guest that you will not have back?
That I will not have back. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh yeah, that's a skip. I mean, there's not really anybody. Like I said, there was nobody that came on that I was like, oh hell no, like I don't like them. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like if I genuinely, like, I'm trying to think. Like there was nobody that.
You dodging the smoke, y'all. That's not what you told me. I don't know. It's cool. We'll go to the next question. What's one word to describe your podcast journey so far? Just one word.
It's challenging.
Okay. And if podcasting disappeared tomorrow, how would you pivot beyond ordinary? What would you do?
I'd be a streamer probably. I don't know how I do it, but I mean that's probably what I do.
That's also very lucrative though. They get a lot of money on Twitch.
You get a lot of money, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like my life. I could, like, if I was a streamer and I really tried, like, I'm like, yo, like, I want this to be entertaining, I could probably do it. Like, for example, when we went to Jamaica, if we had streamed that Jamaica trip, I promise you we would have made $1 million.
Easily. I told my barber what happened. She said we need to sell the rights to that and, like, get a show.
The fact that it's been, 2-3 months and we still telling the story from that is hella funny, bro.
Hell yeah.
That's so funny.
Okay, another question. If your podcast had a theme song, what would it be?
A theme song? Mm-hmm. Oh shit! What do you mean by theme? Like the Pokemon theme song, like that, something like that?
I mean, yeah, we. I guess.
Like, I mean, that's the only thing. Like, you know what I mean? That's the first thing that came to my mind. But like, I'm not over here. Like, I don't know.
Power's like, this is a big rich town. Like, it could be anything. Like the intro to the podcast, something that just sums up what it is. Like, come on.
I mean, hold on. I actually made a new playlist. The playlist is called That Nigga, and it's like I haven't built it out too far, but if I could pick a song, it would either be damn near Jumbotron shit popping. That's probably what I do.
So Drake or Kendrick?
I mean, I'm sorry they buried my boy Drake. Like I fuck with Drake. I still listen to his music, but he definitely took the biggest L of the fucking century. So. I'm gonna have to go with Kendrick. That's the whole reason why I'm going to Cali to begin with, to go to the Kendrick concert. So I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there when this actually airs. So
Well, I hope you enjoyed the concert. Definitely post some clips. I already know it's about to be lit.
I know. Might start my streaming journey. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so a few more questions. So would you
sure.
prefer a long episode or a short episode?
I don't really have an episode length preference. I mean, I try to go at least 30 minutes when I record. But it really just depends on like, the content, the depth, like if we're really flowing. If it's like a really big guest, like I'm trying real hard to get the Howard University president on my podcast. And you know what's crazy? He been seeing my messages. Like for those that for those of you, like if you're a business owner, I highly recommend buying. I think it's called Mail Suite. It's like $10 a month, and it allows you to see if people if they read your email, how many times they read your email. Sometimes they'll even give you a notification if they open it. Say like they open the email like 5 times in like the past 2 hours, you'll get a notification. If you send them a link, it'll tell you if they click it and stuff like that. And so he definitely opened my email and clicked on my link. It did not hit me back. I added him on LinkedIn and he added me back, and I sent him a message and he never got back to me. Trust, the next time I see him on campus on my story, I'm literally on my way. I'm like, if you're gonna reject me, you're gonna have to do it to my face. I'm sorry.
Look, that persistence is gonna pay out. But
oh yeah, I know he'll probably do it.
Let me just add this perspective too. It is graduation season, very hectic time being a university president. But now that the summertime is rolling around,
oh yeah, I'm already knowing.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably gonna hit him like back like or follow up with him like right before like I come back to DC and be like, all right, let's go ahead. I mean,
I hope that works out. I definitely would prefer to be there in studio, take some pictures. We have to set that up.
Yep.
All right, another question.
I'll be sure to lie about what time we're shooting.
Anyway. Okay, so do you prefer, when you have a podcast guest, do you prefer an unfiltered conversation, something that just flows, or like a polished production?
Absolutely. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have the questions ahead of time, you know what I mean? But I typically don't give guests stuff ahead of time. There was actually one dude, like, I don't even know why I even asked him to come on the pod. Well, I do know. But, like, he's a YouTuber, he's in finance, and he has, like, an avatar. So he doesn't like to be on camera. So he literally has like a animation of, I'm assuming like himself, like a own character. And when I was going,
that's some Black Mirror stuff,
bro. But the thing is I was like, okay, we'll still film it. If you don't want to be on camera, that's cool. But his deal breaker was the fucking questions ahead of time. He was like, oh, can I get the questions? And I was just like, no, but like, I'll let you watch the episode ahead of time. And if you say something you don't like, I'll edit it out. And he was just like, no. And I was like, all right, whatever.
You probably had to program the AI to like have a response ready or something.
Facts. I don't fucking know. But I was like, all right, bro. Like, if that's a deal breaker, then shit, whatever. I'm not that pressed.
So, as we're coming to the end.
The end. Oh, this is it. Oh, okay. So folks didn't follow instructions, but it's okay.
What instructions did I not follow?
No, it's okay. Go ahead. I know you have brunch to go to, even though you was late here, but keep going.
Hey, I'm late to brunch too, so.
Oh, I know. your whole life is about being late. I know.
So, what advice do you want to give to yourself a year ago, seeing where you are now, and then what's something you want to tell your future self?
A year ago, my advice I'll give myself a year ago is, bro, like everything that you doing now, like is gonna pay off. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they'll do work for like, I don't know, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, and they'll be like, shit, why am I not where I want to be? But you genuinely don't see the fruits of your labor for like 6 months, a year, maybe even multiple years. So I would just tell myself like, bro, like even though like you might not be where you want to be, like it's going to pay off. Like there's no way that you put in all this work and that everything is going to fold. And then something I told myself a year from now is like, you know what I'm saying? Be proud of what you've done. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, our podcasters, like they fold. Like within, like dead ass, like 90% of people who start podcasts stop after episode 3. And 90% of those people that go past episode 3 don't make it past episode 20. Shout out Chris Williamson for putting me onto that stat. And you know, even in my short time podcasting, I've seen people start and stop shows before, and I'm like, damn, like, you know what I mean? So, like, the fact that you were able to make it consistently week after week, bringing on a new guest, like, I think my YouTube, I posted in terms of like full episodes and shorts. I've done 412 videos. It'll probably be 1,000 by a year from now. So it's like, you know what I'm saying, be proud of that, because most people can't like, not even just podcasting in general, but a lot of people just can't commit to something and do it consistently for that long period of time. So take pride in the fact that you have the discipline to do that.
Definitely. And I hope you're internalizing those words, because everything you said, I want to echo. I am proud of you for seeing you start this in the inception, just having the idea, and to here we are a year later, already getting monetized within a year. That's super huge. The amount of people that you've had on and the value that you've provided has been immeasurable. So I'm proud of you, LB, and congratulations on your 1 year.
Oh, I think thank you so much, J. Cole. Like, you're the number one person that I thought of when I was like, damn, who do I want to host? You know what I mean? I'm glad I didn't have to, put you on the chopping block because of how you was moving over the past week. But you know what I mean? I'm glad we were able to, have this time.
For sure. Anything else you want to say to your audience, guests? What can they look forward to for you in the next year of your podcast?
Oh man, for the next year of the podcast, man, like I said, up in the production quality for sure. I'm going to try to. I started doing this earlier, maybe like when I was 3-4 months in, but I was going to increase the amount of episodes I was going to do. So I was going to do once a week, and then every other week I was going to do twice a week. So instead of doing 4 episodes a month, it would be like 6. You know what I mean? So that's I'm going to try and get on that. Sometimes it's hard and people flick. I literally have like 4 people like rescheduled. Like the last like 4, like outside of this episode, the last I want to say like 4 or 5 that I had planned literally all rescheduled. It was bad. So, it makes it tough to do stuff like that, but I'm going to try and commit to that. Like I said, finance and financial literacy, which, we're supposed to talk about today, but, what I'm saying, like, you must have missed that part of my text message in the preparation, but it's okay.
You're sick.
So we're going to be touching on that. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Again, I appreciate everybody who has supported me on this journey, who's watched, liked, commented, shared, all that stuff. Like, it definitely means a lot that people, take the time to like do that, because like the thing about podcasting is that like you're giving someone else is giving you their attention, their time. You know what I mean? And that's valuable. And that's literally their most valuable asset. So the fact that you're willing to give me your most valuable asset because you want to hear what I have to say, my guest got to say, truly does mean a lot for sure. And I want to also give a shout out to my parents. They've been mad supportive, like particularly my dad. Love you, Mom. But my dad, I know he watches all my episodes. He'll literally call me talking about, oh my goodness, like asking me all sorts of follow-up questions from the interview and stuff like that. So, shout out him. My mom, I asked my mom when she watches it, she was like, oh, I watch the Instagram reels. And I'm like, okay, that's good enough, Mom. I appreciate that too. So shout out them. Definitely shout out my siblings too. My brother, he's literally my best friend. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, he is the only person I could tell my accomplishments to who is more excited than I am. Like, dead ass. Like, he will call me. It's all love. You know what I'm saying? Shout out, shout out F Squad, all my guys for keeping me grounded. Shout out, Alpha Chapter, you feel me? Shout out, I know y'all have, when I made my page, they were some of the first people to follow, J. Cole, you were included in that, so I greatly appreciate that. And honestly, the biggest shout out has to go to the team, man, the SFG Media production team. Because without them, I would not be able to do this podcast. Or if I was to do the podcast, it would be so much harder. It would be so much harder to do that shit, bro. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, they have no idea how much time they are saving me in just handling the editing and all that stuff. So, like, I want to give them the biggest shout out. I try and give them their flowers every time I get the opportunity to. So definitely shout out them. They gonna get another shout out on my 1 year in the caption too, because I really definitely do appreciate them. Because like at the end of the day, I want to say this too. Like, when you have a vision, like, you have, your photography, Jaco and them, they have, the studio, I have, the podcast. It is very hard to find people that are dedicated to your craft the same way that, you are dedicated to your craft. I'm sure that, everybody had like people come and people go on your team, but like some of the people on my production team have been with me for like 2 years. and they are like ecstatic. They'll like follow. They'll actually watch my episodes. All of them follow my Instagram. All that stuff. Like they genuinely actually care about like the podcast and the business and be hype and everything. Like when I hit my milestones, and it's very hard to find those people. And when I always tell people like, man, if you can find like employees or people that support you like that, hold them tight and pay them well, because that shit that does not come, like that is very rare. So you don't want to let that go, especially over no money. You feel me? Hell no.
All right, well, thank you for leaving us with that, and hope to see you again for another year, and 5 and 10 years down the line.
Oh, for sure. I'm probably gonna do applications next year for the host. You know what I mean? But I appreciate your time today.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. I will be going to Park at 14th though, so
yeah. Oh, I know. That's why he's cutting it short, because he has a brunch and all that stuff to go to. But we went long enough. I think this was a good episode. We good.
for sure. I mean, I was trying to stretch it. We had an hour 8 minutes.
Yeah. You tried to. You probably could have stretched it had you followed the guidelines I gave you, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's hard to find. It's like, you know what I'm saying? People that follow instructions hard to come by. You know what I'm saying? Even in the fraternity. All right.
That's a wrap. You good?
Yeah, that's a wrap. All right, Beyond Ordinary Podcast. It was great being a guest on my own show. Until next time, again, appreciate everybody for tuning in, especially for my 1 year. I'm trying to tell you, for year 2, it's gonna be something crazy. Trust, I promise you. Peace.